Now I'm going to teach you an advanced behavior called drag layer. Drag layer allows you to take layers from your web page and drag them around, possibly onto a target, like this square here. You could do this to maybe have somebody drag something out of the way if it was getting in the way of their web page, or if you wanted to have a face that you could drag features onto, like a little puzzle. That would also be effective. So, first of all, I've created 4 different layers, and I have a target layer here. And what we're going to do is program these layers to be able to be dragged onto this final layer here. So, the first thing that we're going to do, because the drag layer needs to be captured in the body command, I need to turn that on in the body of the web page before I can drag layers around. So first I'll click on this body tag here, and then up in the behaviors panel under design, click on the plus, and I'll choose drag layer. So I've set up this drag layer dialog box, and the first thing I'm going to program is the red layer. So the movement I will change to constrained, and what this does is it allows you to determine where this layer can be dragged on the screen from its original position. So I'll go ahead and I'll give it a range of 20 up and down, since I already know that this layer is 50 pixels by 50 pixels and it's separated from the target by 50 pixels. I will allow it to go 170 down. To the left, I'll allow it to go 20 pixels, and to the right, I'll allow it to go 70 pixels. You can calculate out the math if you know the size of your layers and how far apart they are from each other. So then the drop target, I want to be in the lower left corner of this gray box. So I will put the drop target to be down 100, or I'm sorry, left 0. Or actually, I'm not going to program the drop target just yet. First of all, I'll click OK. And we're going to check when I preview this web page to see if this dragging behavior is working. So there's my web page. These layers, nothing happens, but the red layer I can move within the range that I had defined. So now it's on to the next step. Now what I'm going to do is capture the location that I want this layer to wind up. And we could guess at what it is and type it into that box, but there's an easy thing to do called capturing the drop target location. To make this a little easier on myself, I'm going to turn on my grid settings. And the way this works is you take the layer that you're going to use and you drag it down to where it's going to be. And now I'll deselect it and open up my drag layer dialog box again, and I'll say get current position. And what this does is it places the values for the position of the layer right now into this box. And the snap within object, this is optional, I'll leave it as 40 pixels. So if you get within 40 pixels of the target, Dreamweaver will snap it there. And you have to put some kind of snap, because you can't expect your user to move the layer exactly within 1 pixel of the box. So I'll click OK, and now don't forget to move the layer back to its original position. And now when I preview, I can drag my layer around, and if I get it close to the bottom left corner, it snaps into its target. As you can see, bam. I could do the same thing for all of these other layers and have the blue, green, and yellow all going around in a circle. So there is some advanced attributes that we can add now to this behavior. So I will open up this box again, and we'll click on the Advanced tab, and I'll explain some of these things to you. First of all, you can pick a part of the layer to be the drag handle. Right now it's the entire layer, but if I chose an area within layer, you could say that it could only be 50 from the left, 20 from the top. You could specify a little layer. If you had maybe an object with a handle on it, you'd want to have only the handle be the draggable area, but I'll just choose entire layer for this case. Now there is a while dragging option. If you want to add behaviors while the object is dragging, you could bring it to the front while you're dragging and then leave it on top, or you could restore its original z-index. If you remember, the z-index of a layer determines where it is positioned, so you could have it restore its original z-index or just leave it on top. And all of my layers are on top of the target layer as far as the z-index goes, so I could restore the original z-index, but I'll just leave it on top for now. Now finally, there is some JavaScript that you can add here in the while dragging. Some simple JavaScript that will display a message in the status bar while I'm dragging it. So this is some simple, you're going to have to learn a little bit about JavaScript to get into behaviors deeply. But what I'm going to type into this box now is window.status. And what this is a variable that determines what appears in the status bar of your web browser. So while I'm dragging, I'm going to set the window status to equal dragging. And if you use double quotes, it can interfere with the Java tag. So make sure you use single quotes. And now, when it's dropped, I'll put bingo. And only if it's snapped in the right spot. If you uncheck that box, anytime you let go, that's what's going to be displayed. So now I've added those advanced attributes, and when I hit F12, my browser window comes up. Pay attention to the status bar as I'm dragging this layer. It says dragging, and when I drop it in the right spot, bingo. So that's how you can add advanced attributes to your layer. We've just used the drag layer behavior, but there are a lot of other advanced behaviors you can use. So after you've got this to work the way that you want it to, you need to add something to trigger the drag layer action. Since we used the body tag and applied this to the body tag, when the page loads, it says on load. When the page loads, the behavior has been enabled. But you could have this event be anything. You could have another button that would have to be clicked first, or you had to move your mouse over something else. You could set many different events to load this behavior. Now you'll have to have 4.0 or later browsers, and Netscape can't recognize layer div tag events. What you need to have is Internet Explorer 4.0 selected in this events in order to use the drag layer behavior. So this is kind of an advanced behavior. You'll need to have a sort of a new browser to use it. So this does it for advanced behaviors, and in the last section of this chapter I'll show you how to use